All right, so I'm here with my buddy Chaos and my buddy Steve, and I know some of you know that we play in a band together, but we're going to pretend like we don't. But obviously, you
I've
guys
never met.
had.
Honest, Gov, I've never seen any of them before in my life.
Yeah. Actually, Chaos is in my basement. I kidnapped him. But so, I mean, I don't know. I wanted to talk to you guys just because this whole fucking thing has been like a whirlwind with like not only the music, but I mean, the world, like where we are and what's happening with this bullshit COVID stuff and political this and that and fuck everything. Right. So it's just everything's messed up right now. But I don't know, man. I kind of wanted to sit down with you guys and just kind of talk like, who are you? What are you doing? Why are you here? Why are the three of us talking? You know, obviously we have, in regards to the band, we have Tom and Yuji too, but I mainly wanted to focus on you guys. Just where have you been? What's going on? You know, and I don't know. And one of you guys can start. I'm going to shut up.
Take it away, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve started everything.
Yeah, it's Steve's fault.
Yeah, no, it was, I think it's when Trump appeared on the scene, and first of all, I was laughing. And it kind of got, then it was just ridiculous. And then it became like serious, it's kind of the nasty bully was in control. And it felt like I hadn't done any music for a while, or I did some music when I was living in Norway, and then I hadn't done anything really for a long time. And it's like, well, this feels like a reboot of Thatcher's Britain in the sort of late 80s, sort of Thatcherism, Reaganism.
Yeah.
It was the same thing happening again. And it was like, I had the name Terror Trumps, but I would never, I had the plan to use that name, and then I thought I don't want to give the guy any more
free
advertising, and it just bring me a million trolls.
Steve, if I can ask you just real quick, just for some backstory here real quick. So obviously you play guitar in Disorder, but when did that end? And then how long of a hiatus was there before playing music again? I mean, what took you away? Was it job? Was it life? Like whatever?
No, it's so I think my whole life is it's kind of following the flow or what's going on, or it's, I get a certain passion and then I find some other people and we're doing something. Like if you ask Taff from Disorder, I never left. I just wandered off somewhere else and started doing something else. I showed another guitar player how to play some the Disorder stuff, and then it wasn't planned or anything. It was just sort of, we'll come back to it later at some point. So it wasn't really any plan. In between, got a bit into got back into music production. I made I had a startup in London back in 2010, and we needed some music for the app that we were creating. It's an algorithmic video editing app. So I kind of threw some songs together then, just sort of crappy ones that people could use for free on video without having to have a license or anything. So I've always had a guitar lying around. So I don't know. It was just, I just saw so many parallels to Thatcher's Britain. Yeah. It felt like, okay, we should do something, and it's how do we do it?
Right.
Yeah.
And so Chaos, like, what about you, man? Like, obviously Chaos UK, duh. Oh, actually, dude, I got to ask you a quick question. This is like the universal question that has to be answered.
Oh no.
And I'm kind of tired of defending this, but is it Chaos with a K or is it Chaos with a CH?
At the moment it's Chaos with a K.
Okay, so it's fluctuated.
Yeah. It's a name that I never. It was a name that was attributed to me that I never wanted really in the first place.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It was, I mean, very, very briefly, if you really want to know the history of it, it goes but way, way back to when the band very first started. Nobody knew my real name. No one. And they would get on the phone and they would say that Chaos guy. Chaos guy, that guy, Chaos guy, that guy, Chaos guy, Chaos guy. Yeah. And it just stuck. And then when I actually turned up in Bristol, everyone's going, hey, Chaos, hey, that Chaos, oh, Chaos. Hey. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm going to turn around and say, actually, it's Adrian.
Yeah. I was that was the next question. What's your real damn name?
It was Chazuk, then Wazuk, and
oh god, I've had Waz, Chaz, Daz, Snaz, Az, Raz, Kraz,
Razzmatazz,
you name it.
Yeah,
that's fucking great. So, all right. So, I mean, obviously, you know, your legacy, you know, with KSUK lasted forever. You know, I think the one and only time I saw you guys was when I was living in Colorado, and fuck, what was that? 92, maybe? The tour, whatever that tour was.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. Yeah, I think by then we kind of already, for me anyway, by then we'd already burnt out. You know, I was fed up with it, and I think secretly probably a few of the others in the back of their minds, they were probably fed up with it as well, and the whole thing just petered out, you know, from then on. I mean, we continued on until about 2000, but to be honest with you, when was 2002? I think was the last 2000.
Yeah, it was.
It was the last thing. But by then, you know, I really wasn't enjoying myself. Really wasn't.
Yeah, I actually remember you kind of mentioning that. You know.
Yeah, as I said in the interview for you know, for your zine, it was only supposed to last 5 years, you know, tops. And then 30 years later, it was whatever, 20 years, 25 years later, it's just like, woo.
Well, I mean, some of those guys are still going on right now. I don't know if,
you know, yeah, that's fine. You know, that's more power to them, you know, it's entirely up to them. It's not what I want to do, hence why we're here.
Right.
And you know, thanks to Steve, who one day just literally rung me out of the blue.
Yeah,
I completely lost track of everyone.
Right.
I went aground for a good 10 years doing odd bits and bobs here, there, and everywhere, and still doing a bit of music and mucking about and things. And then one day the phone rang, and it was Steve.
Yeah, I remember him and I were talking about that too.
Yeah,
and you know, and I knew you guys were doing, you know, your previous band and what you guys were all up to and everything like that, and so on and so forth, keeping track of all those sort of things. I mean, I was always watching about what was going on in the peripherals and keeping an eye on things as you want, if you want. But I didn't really. I was quite happy in semi-retirement doing nothing at all. But then, like Steve said, it started. Things began to change quite dramatically. Like Steve said, this whole Trump and the Tories in the UK and
you got your shit going on over there too.
Man, I mean, we thought it was bad under Thatcher. I mean, now it's just, I mean, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I can compare.
You know, the right is fully in control across the board, from social media to the mainstream media, to the public generally, and it's just, I mean, it's appalling. It really is an appalling state. So it was, Steve rang me and said, you know, I want to do some music. Do you want to get involved? And I thought to myself, yes.
I'm glad you said yes.
You know, and then why not? You know, it probably is. I mean, I wasn't into. You know me by now. You know what most of my criticism is on a lot of older bands that are still going and still performing.
Oh yeah,
years later, and I still hold true to that. I don't, you know, like I said earlier on, again, something I said today, that I've got no problem or trouble with people being in the music business still at 40, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. That's fine, absolutely fine. But do something else.
Yeah. It's it's kind of
your legacy. You've got a great legacy. If you've been in a great band, great punk rock band,
don't regurgitate that shit.
One of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life was Lemmy's last gig, Motorhead's last gig. I wish to Christ I'd never gone to that.
Really?
And I know
bad?
You know, it was for me, personally, me, I know a lot of people would disagree, but for me, it was one of the saddest things I'd ever seen. And Lemmy would say, you know, well, it was, he wanted to go to the stage and die on the stage or whatever. Okay, cool. But as a viewer from out the front,
it's probably pretty tragic.
Good memories, you know? Yeah. And I felt seriously sorry for the guy, and it was like, no, again, I shouldn't, but it's the way it affected me. So that legacy kind of thing. It's the same with a lot of old bands, especially old punk bands. You see them now, they're all in their 50s and their 60s. They're all playing the same stuff they were playing 30 years ago when we were all kids.
Mm-hmm.
What's changed? You know,
Right.
if anything, like I said, we live in a worse system, worse society now than ever lived in before. And you've got these guys singing the same old stuff they were singing in the 80s.
Well, you know, it's like at that point, it's like, is it a cash grab? You know, I mean, obviously there's some, you know, festivals that are going on, you know, and I mean, there's
the festival.
And I mean, there's some controversy on that shit, but it's like, it's like, you could tell a cash grab when you see it. You know, it's like, well, I mean,
without sort of like, without risking a lawsuit, there are reasons that I personally have, you know, that for why I dislike those festivals. And a lot of punk rockers and a lot of bands who went through the 80s, started in the early 80s and performed and played in all the venues around the UK in the early 80s, and who come into contact with certain individuals, they're aware of it as well, you know, which kind of makes me think why they do it in the first place. But you know what,
you know, I mean, it's, and I mean, we're all getting older too, you know, and I mean, we're doing something new, which is fucking great, you know, but I mean, for your guys' position, it's like, you know, it's refreshing because this is new for you, you know, it's not like you're regurgitating or rehashing something from the past that, you know, it's kind of, when you do that, it's kind of tarnishing the legacy, you know, a little bit. But I think
I've had more people, I get more people, even today, I still get offers to reform KOS.
You get
only a couple of weeks ago, somebody from Russia, again, because they reformed and went and played Russia. And I had a Russian guy contact me a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Will you put this line up together and come back over and do this, that, and the other?
No. They'll throw money at you.
Full stop. Like, you know, I said no. And you want them to do, you want KOS to do it, you go off and chase after who you want to chase after. They can do it, carry on, knock themselves out, but don't come running to me. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned now, what we're doing is what I'm doing, is where I want to be.
And I mean, I guess for folks that are watching too, we're talking about fear of the known, FOTK, whatever. But yeah, I mean, this has been a fun venture.
In defense of the hold on, where am I? Is my mic on?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
No, in defense of the old bands, I think there are quite a few people that, they want to relive a part of their youth that they really enjoyed, but also I think some of them are strapped for cash as well. So it's a job. So
yeah, that's absolutely right. 100%.
Right.
And you can see that by some of the comments that some of the band members say, and you see some of the events. I mean, some of the again, I don't want to name any names, but some of the amounts of money that I've heard that have been thrown around for some of the bands that we've all played with and people we've all known in the past.
Yeah.
Have been genuinely mind-boggling.
Even money, you know, money off to the side here, you know, there's been kind of some recent kind of controversy on one band that we all know and love. That's kind of more catering to a like a right wing kind of side of things, you know, just because they didn't like a certain opinion, and so that created this divisive kind of opinion, and so now this band, whatever, that was kind of more on the lines of where we are, is no longer there because it was more beneficial for them to cater to kind of the right side of things, which is, you know,
well, like, you know, the old saying is the older you get, the more right wing you become.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Whether that's actually true or not, I don't know. If anything, the older I've got, the more anti all everything I've become. Right. You know, and I mean anti-left, anti-right. I mean, I find myself further and further out on the peripheries, looking in at what I just see as an enormous mess of humanity.
Yeah.
Not having a clue what the fuck is going on.
It's true, man.
You know, and it's frustrating. I would admit it. And what do? You know, you form a band.
You do form a band. You do, because it feels fucking great. And screaming from the rooftops with this stuff matters, I feel. At least for me, it was. I mean, man, when I first fucking heard your stuff, Chaos UK and Disorder, I even pulled it out. I mean, this was the first time I was ever introduced to you guys.
Ouch.
And this fucking taught me a lesson, man. You know, it brought me to where I am today. So it's like, yeah, music matters. You know, I mean, it changed my life for the better. But
it's what we've done. It's what I've done all my life.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and like when Steve rang me, it didn't take long. It didn't take him long to convince me.
Yeah,
He really did.
I mean, I know you
after what he said, after, you know, the Trump did with all the state of the world, everything. There was a foregone conclusion. I mean, I had to do it. You know, I had to do it.
Well, I'm glad you said yes.
There was something chaos when you're saying about your band, and it went on a bit, you know, longer than you wanted it to. But we, like back in the day, under Thatcherism and Reaganism, we thought there was going to be a nuclear war. So everyone lived you know, we partied like it was, I don't know.
1984.
Like there was no tomorrow. So I didn't assume that anyone would be alive over the age of 30. You know, it wasn't like anything was planned. It was just like, it was pedal to the metal kind of partying, really. It was,
you know, more than a few people didn't make it past 25. You know, some of our friends didn't live long at all, as you know, and for both me and you to be sat here, you know, let's be honest, Steve, it's a fucking miracle. I mean,
but I mean, that the music back then, you know, what you guys did back then, it told a story. It did. You know, you guys were having an end of the century party because you actually did feel like the world was coming to an end. It was the end of days, man. You know,
and then not only did you have nuclear war, all of a sudden you had this killer disease that meant if you had sex with somebody, you were going to die, and that was it. Period. There was no saving any of us. We were doomed, literally doomed.
Yeah. So make loud music, right?
So enjoy yourself while you can, you know?
Absolutely.
Which is exactly what we did. But getting back to that, you can only make loud music and enjoy yourself as much as you can for X amount of time, as far as I can. So like I said, I got bored quite quick, you know, and I ended up, you know, I felt like I was just going through the motions for most of the second half of it. Yeah. You know, but I'm not going to take that away from everybody else. We did have some really great shows, and we did some amazing gigs, and we've met, you know, we met people like all the people like yourself, and great people all over the world, and I wouldn't swap it for anything. Right. If somebody said to me, "Would you go through?" and yes, I would. Straight away again. Yeah, no matter how it does come to a point where I do wish, to a certain extent, that Steve would call me 10 years earlier, maybe 20 years earlier. Yeah. You know, and whereupon we could have really put the pedal to the metal. But that doesn't, you know, what are we now? You're only 60 years old. 60 is the new 40, they say. Let's hope so.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the thing is with the whole age thing too, it's like you know, you guys did something back in the day that left a timeless impact, you know, it really did, you know, but now here you are, you know, everybody's hair is receding or falling out. And
my hair was receding by the time I was 16.
Right, but
come on, you must remember that Mohican picture in Punk Lives. And
it's like halfway
I made Watty look like a fucking hippie, you know.
Right. So, I mean, what do you think now? You know, here we are in 2022 in the middle of a fucking pandemic, recording music, you know, from afar, creating albums. I mean, what's the state right now of the underground, you know, of DIY, of punk itself? Like, man, I had a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago, and we were talking about Thatcher and Reagan and how that fucking era was created some of the most impactful music and punk culture. You know, here we are living in something that is probably 10 fucking fold, right? And so what kind of impact is the music having on that now, or has that gone by the wayside? Like, you know, punk back then was a first, you know, punk now is not a first anymore, you know. It's been,
I think our version of punk, the continuation, the hardcore version, especially Chaos Disorder and the Bristol sound at that time, I mean, it was crackers, and let's be honest. I mean, it was just off the chart, and it was fueled by, like Steve said, by, you know, we were just off our heads 24 hours a day screaming, you know. I mean, it was just pure madness. I mean, it really was. I mean, and whether or not that can be replicated now, well, obviously, I don't think it can. It's just not.
It's been done.
You know, but from what I know, Well, I do know there is an incredible punk rock scene in Bristol. The underground scene here, the underground punk scene here is amazing. There's some absolutely fantastic bands. The kids are still into it. The gigs are still packed, and
It's good to hear.
I don't mix with them socially, so I don't know what their political views are as such. Most, of course, I did. Most of them are left wing and anti-Tory and whatnot, and to an extent, probably a little bit more political than we were, which is good. I should get out more, really.
Yeah,
I'm in Luxembourg, so I mean, I must step outside and find the scene here.
The slums of Luxembourg.
but pre-pandemic, it was all brass bands and flute solos, basically. I mean, it's kind of, that was my like in the middle of town. There's lots of bandstands. There was always some brass band playing.
Right.
No,
the parade every day.
Yeah, once it clears up, I've got to get out and meet some people.
Yeah. So
I think you get old, don't you? I mean, the thing is, we're nearly all 60 years old. I mean, well, me and Steve.
Yeah.
And I mean, Andy, I mean, you're not really, you're no spring chicken yourself anymore. And Tom.
Fuck no, man.
I mean, Eugene
I'm up there.
Is the youngest person in the band. And like I said, we want to get this on the road. It would be great to actually get this out there, and to put it together and tour it would be I think just fantastic. I mean, I'd have to get fit.
Match fit. You have to do like 6 months of cardio, man, just to get fucking.
Well, I don't know. My cardio is not too bad, but
good.
And I don't smoke anymore. I don't drink as much, even though I've got a bottle of beer in front of me. So, but it would be great to take it on the road.
We need to get out before it involves wheelchairs and rascals.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
before we really are,
I love you guys, but I'm not going on stage with you. You got a walker.
But I don't know. Would be cool pulling up to the gig in one of those electric rascals.
The Larks. We're here.
OAP punk, old age punk OAPs.
Gotta help Uncle Steve on stage.
As long as we're playing something original, that's fine. That's okay with me.
Old Kaos by a rope. Stand up.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing too, is we started this a couple years ago, whatever it was, handful of years ago. We've had the single release, the Cobble 7-inch, with the Flexi. This guy right here.
Yeah, which is sold really well and is still selling really well.
And actually, while we're here, this is the white Flexi.
There it is.
But I wanted to give a shout out to Mirik at Phobia Records. Like that dude, that label is like taking really good care of us. And so now we're in the midst of writing, I'm assuming, an 8 to 10 song LP, maybe more, depending on the time limits. But we have all new material. So, and Steve, I know you've been heading a lot of the production on that. So basically we get together, we slam out some riffs, and you kind of Frankenstein shit together.
Yeah. What I'm really, because I mean, I really want Kaos to talk around the ideas of around the lyrics and how they will
absolutely
link together. So
please, Kaos.
Well,
tell us about your poetic verbal assault.
My plan is a rock opera.
Hey, you know what?
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
Rock operas in my life, man. Don't even mention rock operas to me.
Well, so you're the new Meatloaf, basically.
Oh my God!
Leftover Meatloaf. I'll shut up. Anyway, please continue.
Right, being as old as we are, without as much time left as we probably haven't got, and then friends are dropping dead left, right, and centre around us all over the place at the moment.
Yeah,
it's very easy to. I said this to Steve. It's very easy to write crash bang wallop lyrics. I mean, I could sit down and write "fuck you, Johnson," "Tories out," blah 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 blah, punk rock, shout, scream, and that's fine. Okay, there's a place for that kind of music, and I'm not going to take that away from it anyway. But I, quite frankly and quite personally, would like to write the greatest thing, something I could be really proud of.
Mm-hmm.
something that I think we can all be really proud of, especially something that I can read the lyrics of and think, you know, I wrote that. This is a fucking great LP. You know, I'm really, really pleased with it. So the lyrics, I'm taking time on. Yeah. I'm taking a lot of time on. I'm writing songs, I'm scrapping songs, I'm going through it over and over, and there's so much material, and I'm putting it all together. And yet it does feel like a rock opera. It's beginning to feel like a rock opera. The lyrics are, because there's connections between the songs. The songs are different. I mean, it's something I've never really worked with. I mean, working with you guys, it's a complete departure from everything I've done previously. Completely different from everything I've done previously. My voice is completely different from what it was, and a few people have said it's actually better now. Well, take of that what you will.
I'm not complaining.
So the songs I want to completely restructure, give them something that's more just, you know, D beat.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah,
it's been done 1,000 times.
It's been done. It's so difficult. It really is to think how are we going to make this sound the same but different.
I mean, okay, so in regards to the lyrics, you know, I mean, isn't that's kind of what punk is about, right? I mean, it tells a story, right? And it kind of says, hey, this is the horrors of the world. This is the circumstance that we're living in.
Okay, I know this. People will look at me now and say, "What a twat!" But
right,
Quadrophenia is an absolutely incredible LP. I love the Who, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Quadrophenia, I can sit down and listen to it any day of the week, even now, and it's just, I mean, it's a work of genius.
Sure.
And it's about a mod kid and blah, 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 blah. And it's a work of genius. And it's just fabulous. And people say, well, you know, you can't really do that with punk. Why not? You know, why can't you create some kind of narrative through an album, which isn't going to cost millions of pounds to make, isn't going to make us millions of pounds.
No,
yeah, it's going to,
jobs.
You know, it's going to be a great album. It's going to tell a good story. It's going to sound good. Blah, 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 blah. You say, I don't see a problem with that.
I don't either. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, sure, you know, being younger, you know, we were all about the, you know, 4-chord chaos, you know, make it as noisy as you fucking can. But I mean, that was our angst, you know, but, you know, I know myself personally, the older that I got, being deeply involved in the underground and punk and hardcore and all that jazz, no actual jazz was played in my youth. Let me just state, but what I mean is that it meant about expanding.
Do you want me to break out my jazz collection?
You're out of the band, man.
I've got a very frightening and large jazz collection.
That's good though. But I mean, that's what it's about. It's about really like expanding your horizons. It's about experiencing different things.
I think in the past that we were shoeboxed and into these regimens of you know, we had to sound like this and we had to behave like that. And we had to play in a certain way.
Yeah.
And you get that now. There's so many bands now. People say, have you heard this band? Have you heard this band? Try this band, try this band, try this band. And I line them up. And I think, I've heard you 1,000 million times.
Right.
You know, there's nothing different there that you've played in your band that I haven't heard before somewhere else. And okay, fine.
You know, and on that point, like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we can be old and cynical and be like, fuck, I've heard it 1,000 times, you know, but for me, it's like, yeah, it's easy to say that, but for me, I try to put myself in check and like also reflect, you know, and this is a punk rock thing too. It's like you reflect back and you say like, we were once that person. We were once that person that like did it.
We were always that one person. Going back, I always had in the back of my mind was try to do something different.
Sure.
You know, try to make it sound, even with KOS, the stupidity of stuff like Farmyard Boogie, you know, and the ridiculousness of it. I mean, it was just terrible. And people love it because it was completely and utterly different.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Japanese freaked out. I mean, the Japanese went crazy for it, absolutely crazy for it. Yeah. You know, all they had was all this. Okay, that's great, that's fine. But then all this, I mean, we mixed up this, just made a mess of things. I think
so then, I mean, you guys, like, how do you, how would you label, since that's a big thing, how would you label fear of the known? Like, what would you say? Like, I mean, I'm standing out of this. I know where I stand, but I mean, you guys, like, we've had a progressive state too, where it's like, it was like, bam, bam, rah, 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 rah. But we also realized too that, hey, it's okay to give yourself a little bit of room, breathe a little bit, tell a story, you know, like, where do you think we fall in all of that? I mean, we're still punk rock. It's still aggressive.
Yeah, still on the, I think it's falling more on the side of rock and roll, you know, like
Dirty rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, filthy rock and roll. I mean, you know, I know some of the songs, the viewers don't, but you know, we know what we're working on.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve's done some of it, and you guys, it's just brilliant. I mean, it's a departure, and it's, you know, there's Motorhead in there. There's,
of course,
rock and roll in there. There's, you know, there's all kinds. We've mixed up so much of the genre.
It's a
into
hybrid.
These songs, into some of these songs, and we keep changing them, and we keep changing. Okay, yeah, you can over egg the pudding. I agree. You can fuck this up, but so far, no, we haven't. And what I've heard is just so good that I don't want to ruin it myself. And this is my opinion. I don't want to ruin it by just you know, writing blah 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 lyrics.
Yeah, fuck war.
Because
fuck
the songs are just so great.
Yeah.
Saying that, though, there are a couple which would probably do with just being, you know, a couple of what sort of song,
you know, one thing I do want to mention too is that, Steve, you've been doing some of the mixing, you know, on some of these demo stuff we've been doing. That's going to eventually be on the LP, but I mean, you've been putting a lot of emphasis on Tom's bass.
Yeah,
and that dude, like, that is a fucking powerhouse, man. It's
bass. The bass is just something else. I mean, I will hold my hand up here.
Yeah.
And be scorned. I don't give a fuck. But that bass on one of our tracks, you know which one it is. I have never heard anything quite like that ever. I mean, I play it just for that bass.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Tom, for playing such an awesome bass.
Yes, Tom, absolutely. Fucking, but it's incredible. The sound, what Steve's done with it, what Tom's done with it. Just
and Yuji's drums too, man. That dude's the heartbeat, man. That dude can do anything, man.
You got one of the greatest drummers, as far as I'm concerned, in the world there. I mean, you just got to look at the guy. I mean,
yeah, very talented.
I mean, the mind boggles. You watch ST drums, if anybody is not entirely sure who we're talking about, the guy who's drumming for us, Yuji, goes under the name of ST drums. Yeah. And you can see him on YouTube where he plays on tube trains, and it'll blow your mind. I mean, the guy is the guy's is a genius. I mean, it really is.
So what are we doing? What are we doing? We're are we going to tour? Like, what's going on?
We're
like,
trying to make as much money as we possibly can.
I know a couple festivals.
Yeah, that's right. I've already booked us in. We're gonna be headlining a specific holiday one, the summer season. I think they already want us to
basement shows from here on out, man.
Basement shows, yeah, the best. Some of the always were the best gigs. We've played big venues, small venues, and every single time the best venues were somebody's basement, somebody's front room.
Yeah, we have to go to Japan and play with Yuji. So
absolutely.
Japan is probably the first thing I'd like to go to Japan and go back to Japan. I'd like a lot of the old original Japan bands, and to maybe, I mean, it's entirely, again, it goes against what we said at the beginning, but at the same time, it would be so brilliant to bring back such a lot of the old guys, you know, from the original from a lot of the original 80s Japanese bands, the Net Dreams and you know, and Executes and stuff, and just, oh man,
wasn't it Ishia from Deathside though that got you in touch with Yuji? Was that how that went?
Sorry,
who put you in touch with Yuji? Was it Ishia?
Ishia, yeah, Ishia,
okay.
yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I mean, I've come across. I mean, we knew Yuji from before. I mean, obviously, we come across him several times in the past at gigs in Japan and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I just had a feeling that we needed a Japanese drummer. We just had to have a drummer.
It works, man. So yeah, like if we can make it over to Japan, that'd be sweet.
It's crackers.
Did you guys ever think you were going to play music again? Did we cover that? Like Steve, you stopped Disorder in, was it 1990?
I don't know.
Well, okay, I mean, I know you're still in Disorder.
It's faded out at some point.
Fuck, I don't know, man. I mean, Taff is still going. Fuck, the band's still going.
Yeah. I know, and I mean, sort of, Taff dropped me a message the other day. He was thinking of stopping at 60, but it seems like it's like music, it drags you along sometimes. I think he'll just keep going till he's, can no longer play the bass.
But that's okay. That's good. Like,
yeah,
it's what we know and it's what we love, and that's okay.
Yeah.
If it's in your heart, why not?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to a certain extent, possibly, but it's, I don't know. I mean, where do you draw the line with it?
I know a couple.
I mean, is there so much more talent that could be pushed in another direction, possibly by, maybe not playing a certain song or a certain set list one more time. Maybe try something else a little bit different, or move on somewhere else. And again, it's entirely down to the individual, I suppose. But
But I think Taff was a toilet cleaner at a factory or a cinema before, so I mean, I don't think he wants to return to that profession. So I assume he will continue as Taff of Disorder and DJ.
Yeah, I'm sure the dollars are just rolling in.
That's it. Well, I mean, no one's getting rich from this. It's for the love.
No, that's why.
If you say what you like about Disorder, I mean, and especially, but Taff is he's the quintessential punk rocker. I mean, he really is.
Right.
You can't take that away from him. No chance. Not a chance. He really is.
Yeah.
The punk rocker. Makes John Lydon look like bloody Neil Young or something.
So, okay, guys. Well, we don't have to drag this on any longer, but I wanted to take some time just to, catch up, kind of see what you guys are doing, get a little bit of backstory, and this, let's just kind of see what our future is. We have this LP. I know we definitely want to travel. So for those of you out there that are wondering, yes, we want to hit the road. So if you'd like to see,
I think
us in your city,
some kind of a tour at some point would definitely be, once the LP is finished, once we get the album out, I think then we should seriously think about getting together, as a group. I don't know how you used to do it with your.
Well, when I was in the unmentionable
that group.
Yeah, that group. I mean, it was, we do what we're doing now. It's just, you practice abroad remotely and get together for a couple of days, and we iron shit out, and then you hit the road, and and it works out. It's fine. I have faith in you guys.
No, with us, I think it's going to have to be, I'd say, Japan, US, Europe, or maybe, and I mean, we're not going to be talking months touring and then.
Fuck no, like 3 days, man.
Yeah, it'll be flown out by private jet, each one of us, to a very nice 5-star hotel in Tokyo.
We got a show in the Caribbean.
Yeah, absolutely right, and then take a good 6 months rest in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
What's the problem? We fucking earned it. Let's be fair.
Yeah. Go play Vegas.
If anyone deserves it, we do.
And end up in Vegas like everybody else. We'll have the FOTK suite.
The FOTK suite, the private plane with FOTK on the side.
Have your head right on the side.
No, we've done all that with KSK. I'll have to be Steve's.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody else's head for a change, not mine. Mine's been everywhere.
Yeah. You got a good looking head.
You put Steve's head up there, or Yuji's maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Yuji's got a nice head.
Yeah,
Give me the perfect front of a massive Boeing aircraft.
Have you seen
Kaos head.
Tom Radio? Tom's got a nice smile. Like, we could use head too.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, Tom. Or just all our heads, like the Beatles.
Didn't we? Yeah, but we have that on our
like
7-inch,
the Beatles, when they fan their heads out. We could do something like that.
Don't we have our heads on the 7-inch somewhere? Oh yeah.
Yes, and a lot of people like that artwork.
Do they? You call that art?
They do. Yes, I do.
Well, you guys are awesome. Thanks for doing this. I'll be talking to you soon because obviously we've got shit to do.
No worries, mate.
But yeah, so thank you for coming on. And yeah, for anybody that wants to get in touch with the band, get in touch with one of us, you know, at some point we could play your town or come hang out and have a fucking beer, whatever.
Well, that's best feet forward. So as soon as the LP is finished, let's get out there. I mean, it would be really great to get out there and play. You know, I must admit, as each day goes by, I'm beginning to feel more and more and more myself like I want to get out there and play.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of gigs going on at the moment. It's some great bands, and I look at it and think, yeah, you know, we need to become part of that again. Definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. And once this fucking COVID stuff settles down and it's safe enough for everybody to get together, and I know people have been in isolation long enough that it's like, yeah, let's get the fuck out. So yeah, it'll be a plan for sure. So let's just keep talking.
Definitely. Excellent. Well,
all right, boys.
Lovely to speak to you all again.
You as well. You have a good night, and I will talk with you guys soon.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay.
See you guys.
Ciao, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.